Strickland versus Trump. Yep. UFC star Sean Strickland is calling Donald Trump out by name. It's getting pretty crazy. We're going to get into all that. We have a very, very big video for you today. Big video. Great video. We're going to talk about Strickland's recent tweets calling out President Donald J. Trump ahead of the UFC White House card. Strickland's very critical of some of the actions that Trump is taking recently. Strickland also called out another very powerful country who, we're not going to say their name in the beginning of this video. We're going to wait till later, maybe say it then. They're a very powerful company. A very powerful country, and this company that I am broadcasting on right now, I think is very favorable to them. So we are not going to bring up that political issue in the beginning of the video, but later in the video, we'll get to that. Strickland also has a hot take. He dropped his pick for who is the better burger CEO between Burger King and McDonald's. There's a big Burger King and McDonald's CEO debate going on where they were taking different size bites out of burgers. Strickland puts his thoughts into the mix on that, and pretty controversial take there too. Involves a particular island. We're not going to say the name of the island in the beginning of this video. And also Hamzot has responded to Sean Strickland via a tweet. So Hamzot is talking about a potential fight with Sean Strickland, and he is going to confirm or deny that that is the next fight for himself, Hamzot Chimaev. All right, we're going to get into all that in the video, but first let's talk about Fight Circus, home of the Freak Show fights. This is a shirt. What's a rash guard? I'm about to go train Felony Charles Bennett. He's got a big BKFC fight coming up, and I got this shirt from Fight Circus. We got it done from a different printer. Very short notice. We're not using that printer anymore because of this misprint, but it's a great rash guard to train in because I don't really care that it has a misprint. But if you want to see the freakiest of the Freak Show fights, go to Fight Circus. And if you know someone who owns a gym, send them to StudioMillions.com. Studio Millions will, in fact, pack their gym full of loving students who stay, pay, and refer. Man, they're going to make it rain money on your guy. So if you know somebody with a gym and you want to see them do well in life and potentially get that karmic energy back on you, send them to StudioMillions.com. So let's get right into the video, guys. Let me take a sip of this Zevia. Zevia does not currently pay me, but I will accept money from them if they decide to. So that'll be pretty dope when that starts happening. Strickland versus Trump. UFC's Sean Strickland has called out the United States President Donald Trump. And he's very critical of what's happening in the Middle East right now. In fact, he said that in a sarcastic manner, he said that he is excited to wake up to a red line. I'm assuming that means the stock market redlining, which means that the stock market is down. And he says that people will not be able to retire based on the actions of this current administration. And I think what's going on with Sean is I train at the same gym as Sean. I've trained with Sean before. He's a very challenging person to spar, I'll tell you that. And he oftentimes coaches against me in my rounds, which is interesting because I'm used to being the bad guy and fighting in enemy territory. So it gets me very, very used to the types of things I'm going to hear in the crowd. In fact, most recently, Strickland says, you know, Dave, I always coach against you, but you always do really well and you always end up beating the guys I'm coaching. So, you know, and he's not their official coach. He's just, I guess, trolling me, right? But anyway, so what I've noticed about Strickland is Strickland appears to value morality and honesty more than money. So he'll be brutally honest with people, even if it's not necessarily the best business decision. But at the same time, his, radical honesty is what also gets him the most amount of money because people love his honesty. And I feel like in this situation, he believes that America should probably not be overseas. And even though it is not necessarily the most politically correct thing for him to say, based on the current administration and the fact that Dana's best friends with Trump and Dana White is the president of the UFC and Donald Trump is the president of the country, Strickland is going to keep it real. And people love his honesty for it. He, in fact, not only called out America and Donald Trump, he also called out Israel. I stay out of politics, guys. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it at all. I just know that that's a hot topic for a lot of people, and people feel strongly either way. He says that the fact that America and Israel are overseas in Iran currently is probably the reason that Strickland versus the terrorist, and by terrorist he means Hamzot, will not be happening at the White House. And if you've watched my other videos on this subject, I alluded to something very similar, which was the UFC has a lot of political maneuvering to play because a lot of the people that invest in the UFC are on one side or the other of the current conflict that's happening overseas. And so they have received money from Saudi Arabia, and they've also received a lot of administrative involvement from people who are very pro-Israel. And a lot of the people that currently run the UFC, in terms of the holding companies, right, are pro-Israel, and a lot of the people that invested in the UFC are more pro-Muslim type thing, right? So it's a very tricky situation. And the fact that Hamzot is Muslim and Hamzot is, you know, to what some people would call best friends with a dictator who is like worldly known for war crimes, right? He's probably not going to go to the White House. And the fact that Strickland is going to be, in his mind, very honest about what he perceives as the situation overseas, that's probably not what they're looking for at the White House on the president's birthday, is to have someone who is critical of the current American policy overseas at the White House, speaking up publicly about it to the president, to Dana, to the people in the front row who are probably on the side of what's happening over there. And man, so this is what I'm saying. Man, can't we get the fights we want, guys? Why this is why, like, I intentionally don't look into politics, right? One of the biggest influencers out right now, Clavicular, says that all politics is jester. And I tend to agree with that. To me, that's a great take, because, you know, whether you're on one side or the other, man, first of all, we don't know what's going on over there. We don't know what's happening above our information grade, right? Above our security clearance. Second of all, even if we do have a theory as to what's happening, man, what's anybody outside of those power structures going to do about it, right? So it's like, imagine you were on a platform complaining about censorship, and then the platform censors you, right? So you can't affect the power structure from within the power structure. Does that make sense? So if there's an umbrella, right, and you're underneath the umbrella, right, and you're critical of the umbrella is what's above you, right? And so in this power structure, let's take this platform that I'm operating on. If I was super critical of this, it might limit my reach, right? But if I understand the platform that I'm on and I operate within the terms of service, then I am much more likely to have some form of a voice rather than, you know, get myself canceled like, let's say, Sneeko just did, right? So if you are to believe that these power structures are controlling the world and you are not in a place to operate adjacent to them, and you are from a position where you are going up to be critical of them, they will probably silence you or do something else. I don't think Strickland cares about that. I think Strickland values honesty. I think he values integrity. I believe he values the American working man, and he's going to do what's right and speak out for what he believes is the best thing for the American public. So I believe what's happening right now. I do believe that fight will happen. Strickland versus Hamzot will happen in the near future. It won't be at the White House for all the reasons we just outlined and the reasons I've outlined in previous videos. Furthermore, Strickland dropped his hot take on the Burger King versus McDonald's debate, where the CEOs were trying to bite max the burgers on each other. And, you know, the McDonald's dude is being criticized right now, the CEO of McDonald's, for taking a small bite out of the, whatever it's called, McArch or something. And he looks like he just took a little nibble of the bread. And, there's another video that implies that he spit it out, which is consistent with a lot of things that people say about CEOs, like Mark Zuckerberg's kids do not have Facebook accounts. Steve Jobs did not let his children have iPads. And it would make sense along this line that what maybe the CEO is willing to feed to the public is not necessarily what he would ingest himself. So Strickland had a take that said the Burger King CEO looks like he cheats on his wife with hookers at the golf course, right? So that's very specific. He also said that the McDonald's CEO looks like he was on that list about that island, right? So, a little bit of a hot take from Strickland about the Burger King McDonald's debate. And I think it's kind of funny because it's pretty accurate, honestly. And I don't think that the Burger King dude's really cheating on his wife at the golf course or at all, but specifically at the golf course. And, I don't think the McDonald's CEO got into that position of power by being on that secret island with the list, right? I don't think he was in those files. So I just think it's funny because he does kind of look like somebody stereotypically. And why do all these CEOs, this is a question I got for you guys. Maybe you guys can drop a comment and let me know what you think. But why do all these CEOs not know how to appear human, right? I'm going to take a drink. Normal drink. Now I'm going to take a drink like a CEO. Why do they all act like that, right? Why does this dude take a bite of a burger like he's never had a burger in his life? It's like he's some freaking alien from outer space who's like, I don't know how to interact with this human food. Oh, am I supposed to consume this? On my planet, we don't have food. We take nutrition through our umbilical cord. So he's doing it again. People were critical of Zuckerberg for, appearing like a robot at some hearings he was at. And people have even clowned the Trumpster. They've even clowned him for not knowing how to drink water like a normal person. So, whatever, guys. I don't know why this is consistent among CEOs, but it seems to be a pattern. The McDonald's dude is the worst offender of this recently. The Burger King guy, apparently the Burger King guy took a bigger bite. And, this is what I forgot to mention, guys. This is the stuff you guys come here for. Strickland says the Whopper looks better. Okay, guys. So if you were curious as to where he's at on the debate between which burger looks better, Strickland's take is that the Whopper does, in fact, look better. So if you guys want to know what Strickland prefers, it's the burger over the McDonald's. And I know that celebrity orders are kind of trending right now. What's your order? And somebody asked another streamer whose name I won't mention, but he's all over Instagram because people are clipping him. They were asking him, what's your order at Cane's? And he's like, what do you mean my order at Cane's? My order at Cane's, all they serve is chicken fingers and fries. You can get, what's my order? 4 chicken fingers or 5? What do you get? Do you get the 4 or the, right? So, but that guy's name I won't even mention, You know what I'm saying? You guys can do your own research on that. And finally, in today's video, the biggest news of all, this is the most important if you're into fighting, is that Hamzot has tweeted about the potential fight with Sean Strickland. We got good news, guys. Hamzot says that he is waiting for Strickland. That is going to be the fight. So Strickland has called out Hamzot. Hamzot has verbally agreed. Strickland has verbally agreed. It will not be at the White House, but it will, in fact, hopefully take place very soon because both parties are in agreement that that is the fight to make. And my teammate, Sean Strickland, is going to bring the UFC World Championship home to Extreme Couture here in Las Vegas, as he has done before. Let's freaking go, guys. So if you're digging the video, you like the impersonations of the CEOs, tap the like, subscribe, and turn the notifications on because I go live more than I post videos. So I try and go live once a day. So if you want to make this a dialogue instead of a monologue, make sure you have the notifications on so you can hop on the lives and chat with me in real time. Until then, go ahead and leave a comment. Check out Fight Circus for your freak show fights and Studio Millions to help a gym owner you know pack their gym. Let's go, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.